one of my goals this year, having the Chromebooks, was to kind of ramp up my writing curriculum. We adopted Lucy Calkins a few years ago, and it's really good for teaching the standards and getting them ready for the test, but it didn't give them a lot of opportunities to be creative. So that was something that I was excited about with the Chromebooks. Storybird was a website I had heard about a few years ago. My sister-in-law teaches 3rd grade. She raved about it. She actually wrote a story for my son when he was born and sent it to me. So I signed up for it, got super excited, and then not being one-to-one, there was just always something else to do in the computer lab. So this was something that came back to mind when I got the Chromebooks. So Storybird is awesome. It's very easy to use. It's free. So it's just storybird.com. It is synced to Google, so you can use your Google Drive or your Google account, and your kids can use their Google accounts as well. And then it also works a lot like Google Classroom, where you can give them a class code, and then they can sign up themselves. You can choose to invite them, but that takes a little bit longer to input all their email addresses. So I just gave my kids the code. So this is what it looks like. And then I signed up so long ago that we didn't have our Google accounts yet, so I had to use a regular sign-in. Okay, so when I first did this, I got them all signed in, and then I wanted them to kind of explore it so that they could see what it was all about. So the first thing I had them do was go to the Read tab. This way, I wanted them to see what other people were publishing, because this is a public site, so really anyone can publish books on here. Now, when you do create your own classroom, it's all private. Even if they publish a book, it is only available for you as the teacher to see and your students to see. Also, there's a parent option, which I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, so I had them go to Read, and then I had them narrow it down. So if you go down here, there are formats, so they can create poetry, they can create chapter books, and they can create picture books. So I let them choose whatever format, but I also had them select an age group. So I teach 5th grade, so I had them do the tween option, but you can go either way. So I had them click, and then they can scroll down through all these different books. And so the first day that we did this, this is what they did. They just clicked on books and kind of explored what other people were doing. And it's cool because if you open something, so there's this little book icon right here. So if you click that, it'll save it to your bookshelf. So if they're in the middle of reading someone else's book and I'm like, okay, time's up, we have to move on, they can click save it to their bookshelf, and then they can access it later. And they can do that with their classmates' books as well. So that's what I had them do first. And then to actually create their own book, click Create. I had my kids do picture books. I felt like starting them off with chapter books was way too much. It would require too much writing, and we had not spent a lot of time with poetry, so we just stuck to picture books. And what I love about Storybird are the illustrations. They're beautiful, and it's interesting to see what your students choose. So they can scroll through, and there was a great teachable moment with the art because we talked a lot about tone and the different colors that the artists use, like what message are you trying to get across to your reader based on the artwork that you choose. So, you know, and they could spend literally hours going through all of the work. So you kind of have to say, all right, you have 5 minutes to choose a piece of art and you need to go with it. So they choose their art. So let's say they just choose this one. So this opens up, and then what happens is you click Use This Art, and then this is where it lets them choose the format. So usually I have them do picture books. So it works a lot like slides, so it's super easy. They figured it out really without any instruction from me. So this artist, all of their work shows up on the sides, and then they can add in slides right here, or not slides, pages actually, and then they can drag the art in. So they drag it in, and then this is where they do all of their writing. So It's cool because when you have free write time, I don't know about your students, but I'm like, just write freely. They just sit there because they have no idea where to even start. And this gives them a really good starting point, and it really forces them to think critically about what they're writing because they have to base their story on what they're given. So they start with one piece of art, and then they're given all these other pieces, and they have to fit it together. And we talk a lot about, does your story make sense from beginning to end with the pictures that you have selected? So they can create a story. And then if you click on Studio, so this is for the teacher. So right here, this keeps track of all of the books that your kids are working on. And I've had students, the reason I wanted to present this is because my kids love this. They begged for this. This is something they want to do all the time. And at first I had a couple kids come in and say, hey, I logged into Storybird at home and worked on my story. And I was like, really? Okay. So, and then you can go in and it does timestamp it. So this girl right here, I logged in last night to kind of show you guys a couple stories. And sure enough, she had been working on it at home. So that's really powerful for me, like to be doing something in the classroom and then they do it at home and it's not an assignment at all. I thought that was pretty cool. But it's cool too because you can write them notes. So encouraging them to keep going. Some kids, you can tell they're just totally like playing around. Like they'll have like 4 words and all grammatical errors. So you can write them notes like you need to go back and actually put some effort into this. So that's really good for me to see as well. So what I use this for is free write time. So if I'm doing a Lucy Calkins lesson and then they have an assignment for that piece of writing that we're working on, when they're done, this is something that they can do in their free time. Instead of having a piece of notebook paper and like, write me a story about anything, they can use this instead. And for them, it's been so much better. I don't have to constantly monitor what all of them are doing because they are engaged. So, and then if it has a check mark, that means it's been published. But again, it's private, so just because it's published, it doesn't mean anyone else can see it, which I liked that feature. I wanted it to be private. So the other thing that I thought was really cool about Storybird was the parent piece. So if you look up here, if you click Parents, you can send your parents an email to invite them to the website, and then you give them the class code. So my class password is right here, so you need to give that to parents. And when they log in, they can only see their child's book. They can't see any other student books, which part of me kind of wanted parents to be able to see my entire class because I thought it would be cool for parents to be able to comment on other students' books. But right now, that's not a feature with Storybird, so that's okay. And then what they can also do is the parents can order their child's book. So if they have a book published and ready to go, they can do a digital download, they can do a soft cover, or they can do a hardcover. So my goal this year is to have something completely ready by the end of the year, send home to parents, hey, you can like turn this into a hardcover book, because I know that I will have parents totally take advantage of this because they're in 5th grade, so this is a big, this is a big year because they go to middle school next and the kid-like atmosphere kind of fades away a little bit. So that was something I was really excited about. And you can also do it as a fundraiser through your school, which I haven't explored that. They're definitely trying to sell some stuff here, but your school could participate in that if you wanted to. So that's Storybird.